My name is Chandrakant Salunkhe. I'm a founder and president of SME Chamber of India. I welcome Sri R. M. MISHRA ji, the Development Commissioner and Special Secretary, Government of India, Minister of MSME. सर आपका स्वागत करता हूं। आज के इस वेबिनार में ऑल इंडिया लेवल से नॉर्थ ईस्ट से लेकर मुंबई से लेकर महाराष्ट्र से लेकर हर स्टेट से अराउंड 550 एंटरप्रेन्योर्स जुड़े हुए हैं। So many entrepreneurs are joined today for this webinar. We have RACHANA from NSE Stock Exchange, which is heading SME Stock Exchange. NIHAR THACKERAY is our eminent lawyer, which is supporting for SME sector. And one of the very successful entrepreneur, Mr. Vardhan, is online. सर आप जानते हैं कि कोविड-19 की वजह से आज की डेट में बहुत सारे SMEs, जैसे लॉकडाउन हुआ है तो SMEs आर फेसिंग बिग प्रॉब्लम। बट यू नो द पॉइंट इज, आज वर्ल्ड में पूरी तरह से कोरोना वायरस से बहुत सारे हेल्थ पर और वेल्थ पर इसका इम्पैक्ट हुआ है। मैं चाहता हूं कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, जैसे मिनिस्टर ऑफ MSME है, मिनिस्टर ऑफ फाइनेंस है और मिनिस्टर ऑफ कॉमर्स एंड इंडस्ट्री, टेकिंग most of the actions and the providing value added services to the industry, manufacturing industry, particularly SME sector. और मैं जानता हूं कि आप भी खुद बहुत अच्छा इस सेक्टर में हमें सहयोग दे रहे हैं, मार्गदर्शन कर रहे हैं, कि जिसके माध्यम से not only in this this situation but every time everywhere you are supporting us. but आज का जो दौर चल रहा है, जो कोविड-19 का जो इम्पैक्ट हुआ है, जो क्राइसिस बने हुए हैं, इस क्राइसिस से हम कैसे उभर के आ सकते हैं। जैसे मंत्री जी गडकरी साहब भी कहते हैं कि ये कुछ 39 डेज का जो लॉकडाउन पीरियड है, इसमें अगर आप अच्छी तरह से समझ लो, सीख लो, तो आगे बढ़ने में, आगे काम करने में बहुत उसका आसान होगा। और मैं जानता हूं कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब ने भी कहा है कि जान है तो जहान है। तो जैसे कि SME सेक्टर आज की डेट में बहुत सारे डिफरेंट सेक्टर से काम करके भारत के इकोनॉमी को बढ़ाने का काम करती है, एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन करती है, एक्सपोर्ट में बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन दे रहे हैं, इंडस्ट्रियल आउटपुट कर रही है। और मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंटली जो न्यू एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की जो इंटरेस्ट है, वो हमारे यूथ एंड जो नए जो लोग आना चाहते हैं इंडस्ट्री में, एक जागरूकता तैयार कर रही है, उसमें एक हम लोग इंटरेस्ट बढ़ा रही है। तो इस माध्यम से हम लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं, SME चैम्बर ऑफ इंडिया के माध्यम से हम सभी हमारे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स, SMEs को सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं कि जिससे कि उनके जो इश्यूज है, प्रॉब्लम से आप तक ले आए, डिफरेंट मिनिस्ट्री तक ले जाए, कि जिसके माध्यम से उनके इश्यूज सेटल हो। सर आज की डेट में बहुत सारे इश्यूज है कि लेबर का सैलरी कैसे दिया जाए, रॉ मटेरियल पड़ा है, रॉ मटेरियल का पेमेंट करने की अभी मुद्दत आई है। तीसरी बात है कि बैंक का इंटरेस्ट थोड़ा बहुत हमें सहयोग मिला है कि मई एंड तक का। आज गवर्नर साहब ने, RBI गवर्नर साहब ने भी आज कुछ अनाउंसमेंट किया है। बट इसमें जो मैंडेट चाहिए, फॉर एग्जाम्पल जो मैंडेट देना चाहिए कि ये मैंडेटरी करना चाहिए कि हर बैंक ने करना, वो नहीं हो रहा है। आज सुबह से कम 20 एक एंटरप्रेन्योर से मेरी बात हो गई कि जिस तरह से रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग की बात होती है, जिस तरह से एडिशनल वर्किंग कैपिटल की बात होती है, तो बैंक कहती है कि मेरे पास कोई भी मेरे हेड ऑफिस से या RBI से हमारे पर नोटिफिकेशन आया नहीं। तो इस माध्यम से बहुत सारे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स का एक जुदा मनस्थिति है, दे हैव मिसकम्युनिकेशन और दे आर नॉट अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाट टू बी डन। तो सर मेरा एक ऐसा कहना है कि अगर इस पे थोड़ा सा हाईलाइट कर दे, अगर आप हाईलाइट करें कि हमारे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को जब भी बैंक के पास, क्योंकि आज की डेट में बड़ा टेंशन, बड़ा हैम्परिंग हमारे ऊपर है बैंकिंग का। तो बैंकिंग के माध्यम से हमें बहुत सी राहत मिलनी चाहिए, एडिशनल वर्किंग कैपिटल मिलना चाहिए, ट्रेड फाइनेंस मिलना चाहिए, नए प्रोजेक्ट अगर बनाने जा रहे हैं, अगर हम लोग करने जा रहे हैं तो उसके लिए फंडिंग होना चाहिए। मैंने सुना लास्ट वीक में कि नए कोई प्रोजेक्ट के लिए बैंक अभी हाथ नहीं लगाना चाहेगी, जो पुराने है उसी को देना चाहती है। तो नए एंटरप्रेन्योर कैसे बन सकते हैं, ये एक मुद्दा है। और मेरी दूसरी एक रिक्वेस्ट ये है कि बहुत सारे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स का एक इश्यू है कि हमारे लेबर को, हमारे स्टाफ को हम सैलरी कैसे दिया जाए। अब सरकार तो सैलरी देगी नहीं, सरकार ने जो सुविधा दी है 15,000 की जो तक के लोगों के लिए, वो है। दूसरा GST का है, मैंने भी सरकार से दरख्वास्त की कि GST एटलीस्ट 5% तक लाया जाए, जो कि हमारे MSME सेक्टर आपस में जो बिजनेस करते हैं उसमें आना चाहिए। प्रोफेशनल सर्विसेज के लिए भी 5% पे GST आना चाहिए, इसके लिए आप कोशिश करना चाहिए। और जैसे कि बैंक हमें मई जून तक दे रही है, लेकिन ये दिसंबर तक अगर होना चाहिए, क्योंकि आज की डेट में अगर देखा जाए तो ये इम्पैक्ट, ये क्राइसिस कम से कम दिसंबर तक हमारे सर पे मंडलाएगा। एंड आई एम श्योर दैट many entrepreneurs will not come out from this crisis। ये बहुत बड़ा जर्क है, ये बहुत बड़ा टेंशन बड़ा है entrepreneurs पे, क्योंकि आज की डेट में जिनके पास प्रोसेसिंग यूनिट है, प्रोसेसिंग यूनिट में 24 तारीख को बंद होने के बाद कितने इंडस्ट्री का प्रोसेसिंग जो किया हुआ हाफ मटेरियल हो, सेमी फिनिश गुड हो या फिनिश गुड हो, वैसा पड़ा। दूसरी बात है, आपने सरकार ने जो जो इंडस्ट्री को आपने सुविधा दी है शुरू करने के लिए 20 तारीख से, जो और भी इंडस्ट्री को मिल रही है, इसमें बड़ी दिक्कतें आ रही है, जो कि ट्रांसपोर्टेशन शुरू नहीं है, लेबर अवेलेबल नहीं है, जो ट्रांसपोर्ट में जो ड्राइवर्स काम करते हैं वो नहीं आ रहे, लेबर आएंगे तो उनकी रहने की व्यवस्था करनी चाहिए कि आज की डेट में छोटे छोटे इंडस्ट्री के पास तो 1-2 लोगों के रहने की व्यवस्था है, ज्यादा नहीं रख सकते। तो ये जो बातें हैं, तो थोड़ा सा एक माहौल ऐसा बना है कि एक डिस्टर्ब माहौल हुआ है और इनका कॉन्फिडेंस फेल होते जा रहा है। मैं जानता हूँ आपको कहीं अभी मीटिंग के लिए जाना है, तो मैं ज्यादा वक्त नहीं लेता हूँ, फिर हम लोग इंटरनली हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे और पूरा जितने भी क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं क्वेश्चंस लेके मैं आपको सादर करूंगा। और मंडे को मंत्री जी गडकरी साहब के साथ भी वेबिनार का आयोजन करने का बात हुई है, तो उस वक्त भी हम लोग और भी क्वेश्चंस मंगा रहे। और मैं चाहूंगा कि आपको बहुत से ऐसे सजेशंस एंड जो इश्यूज एंड प्रॉब्लम्स हमारे एसएमई सेक्टर के, मैं आपको सादर करूंगा, क्योंकि आप डेवलपमेंट कमिश्नर हो, आप ही तो हमारे पेरेंट हैं, आपके माध्यम से हमारे इश्यूज एंड प्रॉब्लम सेटल हो जाएंगे। तो फ्रेंड्स, स्पीकर्स, आई रिक्वेस्ट दी RM मिश्रा जी to enlighten on the issues and problems and guide us, give confidence amongst us that how we can survive in this competitive era and come out from this crisis to accomplish the dream project of the Honorable Prime Minister to achieve the target growth, to achieve the $5 trillion economy. Thank you, sir. Mr. Sir. And we can call Mr. Sir. Mr. Sir, you can speak.
Mishra sir, you can take it forward. You'll have to unmute your button and you can address all the queries. Thank you, sir.
अभी हमारा कुछ यहाँ लगता है कुछ गड़बड़ है इसमें सेटिंग में. Is it audible there?
Yes, you can go ahead. You can go ahead. We can hear you. We can send picture. We can see you. But you can go ahead. ऑडियो का आपका वीडियो का बटन दबा दीजिए.
अभी आ रहा है?
आपकी आवाज आ रही है.
तो फिर मैं समझता हूँ कि जो भी है, अगर वीडियो नहीं भी चल रहा तो फिर मैं ऐसे इसको यूज कर लेता हूँ इसको. तो सबसे पहले तो चंद्रकांत जी, मैं आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ कि आपने मुझे अवसर दिया है आपके साथ होने का. और ये बहुत ही डिफरेंट परिस्थिति में हम मिले. हम पहले भी मिलते रहे हैं, पहले भी आपके साथ सम्मेलनों में मैं आया हूँ, लेकिन इस बार जब हम मिल रहे हैं तो ये बहुत ही बदली हुई परिस्थिति है. और जैसा कि आपने उल्लेखित किया है, अभी हमें कई क्षेत्रों में बहुत ही त्वरित गति से काम करने की आवश्यकता है. तो ये जो हम सबको विदित है कि ये जो परिवर्तन है वो तो हमेशा चलता रहता है. और जो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स की एक बहुत बड़ी खूबी ये होती है कि वो बदली हुई परिस्थितियों में, इन द चेंजिंग सर्कमस्टांसेस, हाउ टू मेक बेस्ट यूज ऑफ दोस सिचुएशंस टू द एडवांटेज ऑफ द एंटरप्राइज. ये कला हम सबको अच्छी तरीके से आती है. ये सबसे कोर एक कॉम्पिटेंस होती है, विशेषता होती है. तो और हम जाने जाते हैं भारतवर्ष में हमारी जो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स की क्षमता है, हम सबको मिलती है. पर ये जो परिस्थिति है इतना सडनली हुई है, इतना त्वरित गति से बदलाव हुआ है सारी चीज का, कि इसमें हमको कई चीजें करने की आवश्यकता है इसका लाभ उठाने की. और सबसे पहले मैं आपको साधुवाद देना चाहूंगा. आई वुड लाइक टू कॉम्प्लीमेंट यू कि जो इसका आपने टाइटल रखा है इस आज के संवाद का. जनरली हम सब जगह अभी आज विषमता की बात कर रहे हैं, डिफिकल्टीज की,
बोलिए ना।
पर आपने जो इसका विषय रखा है, शीर्षक रखा है, मैं आपको कंग्रेचुलेट करता हूँ, और आपके साथ जो लोग भी टीम में और जो लोग, आई कंग्रेचुलेट यू।
हाँ, मैं कर रही हूँ
टाइटल कि चैलेंजेस में है, लेकिन उनमें आप भविष्य में अपॉर्चुनिटी को देख पा रहे हो,
पे कोशिश तो
ये बहुत बड़ी चीज। और मैं पूरी तरह से इसमें आपके साथ हूँ, क्योंकि भारतवर्ष के लिए हम सब जानते हैं, हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, हमारे माननीय मंत्री जी श्री नितिन गडकरी जी, ये सभी आपसे ये कहते रहे हैं कि ये भारतवर्ष का समय है और हमारे लिए बहुत सारे अनुकूल परिस्थितियां हैं, और हम बहुत ऊंचाई तक हम अपनी अर्थव्यवस्था को, सारी चीजों को ले जाएंगे। अभी सवेरे मैं एक वेबिनार में था, हमारे माननीय मंत्री जी उसको उद्बोधित कर रहे थे, तो उसमें भी वो यही कह रहे थे कि जो हमारे एक्सपोर्ट के लिए पोटेंशियल हमारा रहा है हमेशा, और उसको लेवरेज करने की हमारी कैपेसिटी भी रही है और हमारे लिए अवसर भी रहा है, उसको उन्होंने कहा कि हमें अभी इस अवसर का लाभ उठाकर, क्योंकि जो परिस्थिति उत्पन्न हुई है वो सबके लिए हुई है, विश्व में ये परिवर्तन सबके लिए हुआ है, और हमें विदित है, मैं किसी देश विशेष का नाम नहीं लेना चाहता, पर वी ऑल नो there are certain countries from where the opportunities are on the move. They are moving, and globally our reputation is such as a nation that people have a lot of trust in our capability to become partners, to set up joint ventures with them, to have technology transfer arrangements and do business in the global value chains together. This the entire world recognizes today. So therefore, moving on, there are a few suggestions which I would like to place here. And as I said, I am immensely grateful for getting this opportunity, because in this hour of crisis for the nation, we together, the government machinery and the entrepreneurs and all other stakeholders, we together, if we move rapidly, then these situations we can capitalize to our advantage. So now what is the first thing? First thing is that uncertainty brings risk. Always in business there is a lot of uncertainty. And therefore, there is already risk premium attached to it. I mean, people, when they appraise, they say risk premium, which is always linked to the concept of uncertainty. Now, since the uncertainty is more, therefore, together, if we can have a system to understand the SWOT of this, in this change situation, what is our strength as a nation, as an enterprise community? What are the weaknesses we have had and we are still having? What are the emerging opportunities, as you rightly said in your title? And what are the threats we are facing? We have been facing, we are still facing. Now, if we have clarity about the SWOT, then from there the journey begins. And then SWOT, it is easy to do those mathematical models if everything is known. But since, as I said, there are so many imponderables associated with this current situation, it's important to do scenarios. Okay, suppose the scenario is A. Now, this is the SWOT of this. These are the things we can leverage. These are the actions we need to take. And this is the kind of cost benefit of this. This is what we get out of this. Suppose this scenario doesn't come true. There is a fallback position. We have scenario 2. And therefore, we leverage upon that scenario. So, suppose we do 2-3 scenarios. And I would like to share it with you. We have mounted a core team here in the government, in the Ministry of MSME. And we are helped by a lot of those knowledge people. They are volunteering, you will be happy to know. The world's best consulting people, they are volunteering with us for the cause of the nation. Because I have noticed, we as Indians, now everybody has come together. They say, no, there's an opportunity for us, let's contribute. Some of them are saying, no, we work free for you, then we talk about money later. So in this situation, what I suggest is, number one, when you have this discussion forward today, if you can clearly delineate the contours of this knowledge, the knowledge in a dynamic sense, I would say, which is capable of throwing up these scenarios and then entire SWOT, and then not only that, is able to signal to our entrepreneur community down there up to the grassroots level. You look here, these are the opportunities and these are the threats. Therefore, you as an entrepreneur, these are the actions if you take from your side. And then complete awareness of the government support which is coming. You see so many things are coming and so many more helps are likely to come. So all this together, if it is factored into this enterprise ecosystem, then our entrepreneur friends, wherever they may be, they can take a conscious call as to moving forward, how do they capitalize on the opportunities which we are talking about, and how do they ward off those threats which may be inbuilt in the system, and then these both together, what is that net call they have to take in their decision making? That is one. Second is, as the situations are emerging, the signaling from below. And again, I compliment Mr. SALUNKHE. He has been very helpful to us. Every day I keep bothering him. Why don't you talk to a few people and then give me this situation kind of analysis, and then I want this by 9 p.m. and then I want this by 2 a.m. And let me tell all of you, he has never not failed even once actually. He has always collected all those informations, and it helps me a lot. Because when I give this feedback to the government in terms of taking all those policy decisions, these grassroots signals, they are of immense help to me. So through this forum and platform today, I would like to appeal that all of you together kindly come forward, and you are more than forthcoming. And I appreciate that when one's own business is in a little bit of difficulty, then to talk about volunteering for those other things, it's a very, very difficult call. So therefore, I admire you for taking this time off, even in this difficult situation. So to sum it up, what I'm saying is, as I had signaled once last time when I came to Mumbai, through the support of Asian Development Bank, now we are setting up these enterprise facilitation centers across the country. So these will be housed in industry associations, these will be housed in district industry centers and all that. So this we are now ramping up that entire initiative. What is this enterprise facilitation center? This is about awareness about opportunities and threats. This is also about facilitating linkage to the bank, and then linkage to the market, linkage to the technology services, and also doing that community mobilization for building those common property resources, building those community facilities, and so forth. So I'll be sharing a concept note on this with Mr. SALUNKHE, and I'll urge upon him to circulate it to all of you as to what is this EFC I'm talking about. So therefore, from the enterprise community, from the entrepreneurs community, set up those groups which are able to become partners in the process of knowledge creation, knowledge dissemination, listening, which is very important. Continuous listening to what is happening on ground. Again, feeding it back into the policy circles and into the program circles and so forth. And most important element of this is setting up those clinics, enterprise clinics. What is a clinic? So when the enterprise is moving, putting in place that minimal diagnostic surveys as to when you're moving on, what is that need to be tweaked for you to do better? And this has to be kind of, a lot of volunteering is needed, because those consultancies, many times they have limitations beyond a point. So each one of us, whatever we know, if you can pull in that resource, and for your benefit, we have started that network of Uddam Sathis. We are ramping up that portal, and then, so this is one part of it. Second is whatever investments we have been having in the enterprise ecosystem. So we are trying to do a quick analysis of all that which is happening and realign with the emerging needs. So we have been implementing certain schemes, but time has come that in this transition in the post-COVID world, and especially when you are talking about these emerging opportunities to be capitalized, we are taking a very quick diagnostic analysis of all those investments to see where they need to be calibrated and tweaked. So kindly discuss this. I am not asking for an answer today. Take a few days time, 7-10 days time. Get back to us, please. Scheme and scheme wise, not only MSME ministry, but wherever they may be there, state government, central government, wherever. And now we have one industry secretaries group. We are regularly interacting with them. So as a nation, whatever investments we are making in the MSME ecosystem through various schemes and programs of the government, to whatever extent they can be tweaked now to realign them to the current needs, where we as a nation can capitalize on these emerging opportunities better, and also save troubles wherever they may be there by a little more help there. And this is where in the morning I was having a discussion with our previous Development Commissioner MSME, Mr. Tripathi. He is now Director of Indian Institute of Public Administration. So he has agreed to be part of kind of MSME helpline, where those governance compliance and all those legal compliances, and I'm happy that one of the partners here is a wizard in the legal kind of field. So I would look forward to kind of lot of help on this to usher in a little more ease of doing business for the micro and small particularly and medium. If you can do quick kind of diagnostics and then study, as to which are those things which need to be tweaked wherever to bring a little more kind of ease of business so that the costs are reduced and we become more competitive. There are many more things we need to do, because when we are talking about leveraging these opportunities which are in front of us now, and also warding off all those troubles which come out of the situation we are in. So there are a lot of things we needed to be done in terms of handholding, in terms of facilitation, in terms of filling those investment gaps, in terms of straightening the entire value chain, where we need to ramp up investments in terms of reskilling of people, the other information dissemination measures, then technology services, then access to finance particularly, then infrastructure issues, and then particularly I would mention that the competitiveness program we have been running, National Manufacturing Competitiveness Program, which has the components of lean manufacturing, design clinic, IPR support, energy efficiency, and so forth. So I'm not taking names of the schemes, that's not important. The important thing is, if there is opportunity A in the global value chain, we as a nation are at point so and so here. To reach to that point where we can compete and do better than others who are going to compete with us in that marketplace, what are those investments and those 6-7 things which are needed to be done? Ease of doing business, market access, infrastructure, technology, finance, knowledge, skill. So if we draw a complete matrix, and I had shared a presentation with Chandrakant ji, and maybe if he will agree, he can share it further with all of you. That is the kind of initiative we call comprehensive MSME enterprise ecosystem development kind of initiative. This we have to do together, and then whatever is needed to be done to make that happen. All those small gaps which may be there in whatever way, if we can plug those gaps right at the enterprise level, I am sure this later part of the title, which you have very rightly given, it can come to fruition very easily. And we should have a very quick kind of a roadmap, kind of documented stuff, and then also detailed kind of action plan, which is for not too long. It should be for a month, for 3 months, for 6 months, 9 months, year, like that we have to do. And we don't stop there. Then we should talk about 3 years, 5 years, decade. Because this transition, lot of things are getting reset. And as I say, there are long-term opportunities coming in our way. So there could be decadal opportunities coming in our way now. This is the time. And if we seize the moment, then we are there. And one more thing I would like to say, when times are troubled like this, it is also important to be with the entrepreneurs, because ultimately we are all human beings. And therefore, to see the opportunities and also to clearly see the threats, we need a very calm mind. And calmness is a function of meditation. Calmness is a function of stillness, little bit of spirituality, and that we have as a nation. We have been abundant. So I think I would urge. In fact, I'll again WhatsApp one meditation technique I came across to Mr. Chandrakant ji. You can share it further. Those of you who are interested, you can give it a try. And so that is one. That is a little more inner journey to discover that stillness point where we can perform at a little more improved level. Together that संघ की शक्ति जिसको बोलते हैं, and हमारा जो इतिहास में रहा है संगच्छध्वम संबद्धध्वम, तो जो हम तो हमेशा रहते हैं संघ में, पर जब मुसीबत का समय हो तो संघ की शक्ति की बहुत आवश्यकता होती है. और इसलिए जो ये आपका BMOs हैं, जैसे आपका आज आपने ये कार्यक्रम किया, उसके नीचे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में जो एसोसिएशंस होंगे, उसके बाद और जो क्षेत्र में जो एसोसिएशंस हैं, मेरा आपसे विनम्र निवेदन है कि उनको और मजबूत करने की आवश्यकता है. क्योंकि जब हम एक दूसरे को देखते हैं एक दूसरे की तरफ, तो मुसीबत कम होती है. उससे मुसीबत होती है तो उसका एहसास नहीं होता. उसको लगता कि हम एक से ज्यादा, इसलिए हम लड़ लेंगे. और आपने देखा होगा माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी हमारे, वो पूरे राष्ट्र को उसका आह्वान करते हैं, कहते हैं सब लोग साथ में खड़े होके और इसको हमको इससे निपटना है. सवेरे हमारे माननीय मंत्री जी भी ऐसे ही कह रहे थे कि जो बिजनेस में अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं, हमको सबको साथ में मिलकर उनको कैपिटलाइज करके और राष्ट्र को आगे बढ़ा के ले जाना है. तो जो ये BMOs का जो रोल है, it is never so much important than in times of crisis. So therefore this program which you are organizing today, I compliment you for this. I think this is the right time for programs like this. We should have more such programs, but more than the program, the action part of the program. So I am sure you are a very business-like person, Mr. Chandrakant. I have seen you working. So that's why you have given me very limited time in the very beginning, and then you have told me to carry on. I know that. So I'll carry on after this. I would have loved to sit through, but there's another meeting I have to attend. The short point I would like to, while going, would like to make. I totally agree with you all when you say there are challenges which we see, but we have seen challenges earlier also. And ये जो दूसरा पार्ट आप कहते हो, अवसर जो खुले हैं, नए अवसरों की जो शुरुआत है, जो जिसको उषा की बेला बोलते हैं, तो ये हमें दुख का समय भी हमारे लिए है, पर आगे भविष्य में मैं बहुत अच्छे इंद्रधनुष में आप देख सकते हैं हम साथ में मिलके, और उनको बहुत मेहनत है उनमें, पर मैं आपको ये आश्वस्त करना चाहूंगा कि हमेशा की तरह इस यात्रा में मैं आपके साथ हूँ पूरी तरह से। जो मुझसे जो भी विनम्र इसमें सहयोग या कंट्रीब्यूशन हो सकेगा, यू कैन ऑलवेज काउंट ऑन मी। एंड ये आज की जो चर्चा है, आई वेरी कीनली लुक फॉरवर्ड कि इसका जो भी आप निकालेंगे, मुझे अवश्य इसको आप भेजिए, फिर साथ में मिलके हम एक कार्य योजना बनाएंगे जिसको 1 महीने की, 3 महीने की, 6 महीने की, साल भर की, 3 साल की, 5 साल की, 10 साल की। तो एक बार फिर मेरा आपको बहुत धन्यवाद है। बहुत मैं अनुग्रह व्यक्त करता हूँ आपको कि आपने मुझे इसमें अवसर दिया है आने का, और मैं आई लुक फॉरवर्ड कि आगे भी आप मुझे इसी तरह से अपने साथ जोड़े रहेंगे, और साथ में मिलकर अभी आगे चल के चंद्रकांत जी आपको बताएंगे हमारी योजना है हर जिले में उद्यम समागम करने की, ताकि हमारे जो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स जो ग्रास रूट पे हैं उनको हम हाथ पकड़ सकें इनको। तो जो संघ की शक्ति है, सिर्फ ये नहीं कि हमने एसोसिएशन ऊपर बना लिया, संघ की शक्ति जब जड़ों से आएगी उसकी, तो हमारे जो ग्लोबल वैल्यू चेन्स में, हमारे एग्री बिजनेस में, हमारी जो इकोनॉमिक फॉरेस्ट्री में, हमारी जो हर्बल मेडिसिन में, हमारे जो आयुर्वेद में जो अपार संभावनाएं भी छिपी हैं, हमारे टूरिज्म में। अभी लोग किसी से पूछो इटली जाओगे कि कन्याकुमारी, तो आपको आंसर पता है उसका। उससे पूछो इटली जाओगे कि गोवा, ऊपर आपको बताएगा कि उसको कहाँ जाना। तो हमारे अपार प्रचुर संपदा है, हेरिटेज की, आर्ट की, टूरिज्म की, कला की, ध्यान की, अध्यात्म की, और आयुर्वेद की, और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में भी अनगिनत चीजों का, आर्ट बेस्ड एंटरप्राइज अनगिनत चीजों का, और प्राकृतिक संपदा का हम भंडार है। पूरे विश्व को वी कैन सप्लाई, एंड वी आर द सेम पीपल वेयर आवर ग्लोबल शेयर इन ट्रेड यूज्ड टू बी मैक्सिमम। We are predominant global partners in trade. So वो बहुत पुरानी बात नहीं है। अभी कुछ समय हम थोड़ा सा विषम परिस्थितियां थी, इसलिए हमारा वैल्यू चेन वगैरह टूट गया था। ये समय आ गया है, मेरा मानना है कि उसको पुनर्जीवित करके और उन सारे कनेक्शंस को पुनर्स्थापित करने का समय है। आपको बहुत बहुत मंगल कामना। आज की चर्चा आपकी बहुत अच्छे हो और उसका लाभ हमें भी मिलेगा, तो कृपया मुझे आप उससे लाभान्वित करिएगा। आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। मुझे अब आप आज्ञा दीजिए, मैं अब आपसे चलने की आज्ञा मांगता हूँ। धन्यवाद।
1 मिनट, धन्यवाद साहब, 1 मिनट रुकिए। साहब, जैसे मैंने हाउ आई एक्सप्लेन अबाउट challenges, lot of SMEs are facing challenges in this lockdown period, but there are a lot of opportunities. The friends from the industry, particularly from exports, this is a time now to tap the opportunities, because China has lost the confidence in the world. They have lost the confidence for creating, developing, and enhancement of the business. The India will be the largest country in the world now to provide all types of product and services to various countries, particularly those countries the facing problem like Spain, Italy, Germany, UK, USA, Canada. So this is a time now, and I request Mr. Saab to provide a hand-holding, support, knowledge, and level playing field to the manufacturing industry, particularly the industry in rural area, to achieve the target, to tap this market, and of course, to achieve the various types of the business opportunity available in my chamber and SME Export Promotion Council of my organization will be very happy to support all the manufacturers and the exporters to identify new market, identify the particular importers, particularly right business partners in this future. Sir, I'm thankful to you for your kind cooperation and always support and your guidance. I'm giving confidence to my entrepreneurs. ये 39 days का जो lockdown period है, इसको हम भूल जाएंगे 4-5 मई के बाद, लेकिन जो आने वाला समय है उस समय में हमें चैलेंजेस पे आएगी, बहुत सारे अपॉर्चुनिटीज आएगी। इसीलिए मिनिस्टर ऑफ एमएसएमई, ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर, मिनिस्टर गडकरी साहब हमारे पीछे रहेंगे, और मिश्रा साहब आपके जैसे अगर अफसर लोग हमें अगर कॉन्फिडेंस और एक हेल्पिंग हैंड देंगे तो मुझे लगता है एसएमई विल डेफिनेटली सर्वाइव एंड डेफिनेटली विल कम आउट। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच, विल टेक फॉरवर्ड।
थैंक यू वेरी मच। और हम तो हैं ही आपके साथ, और हमारा तो पद ही इसीलिए बनाया गया कि आपके साथ रहने के लिए, क्योंकि जैसे आप बिजनेस करते हैं वैसे हम बिजनेस ऑफ प्रमोटिंग बिजनेस, हमारा तो वही बिजनेस है खाली। तो बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका, और हम फिर जल्दी शीघ्र ही मिलेंगे। धन्यवाद।
Okay, धन्यवाद. I request all the participants to share your questions and your issues and problems and suggestions. Rather, I want suggestion because the Minister of MSME, Ministry of Commerce Industry, Ministry of Finance, and particularly banking sector. Even I returned to IBA. I'm inviting IBA chairman, and all of you can write down that Monday 12:30, the Honorable Minister Sri Gadkari Sahib is going to address, and the next week we are inviting the bankers also, because banks is the most important, the stakeholders for the SME sector. Because without bank, SME will not grow, and without SME, India will not grow. This is the tagline we have to, to promote and brand, because SMEs are providing large employment. SMEs now will achieve 60 to 70% export contribution. So with this word, I suggest Amanpreet to take forward. Hello.
Ma'am, we can see you and we can hear you as well. Both
I suggest,
are
Rachana
working.
ji,
You can start off with your...
Rachana ji, I suggest, you can talk instead of, giving presentation. I suggest you can talk, because you will give more inputs by talking. And it will be good, because a lot of entrepreneurs from the all India level joined today. So they want to know more about the SME stock exchange. So best way, it is a good to, give a input.
Yeah. I'm not doing a presentation. Thank you so much. And Chandrakant ji and SME Chamber of Commerce, as usual, you have been very proactive in, engaging with the entrepreneurs at this point of time to take the relevant topic further and give a morale boost, as well as, a financial support to whatever they need and guidance on that matter. So thank you so much. And I must say, I must applaud the whole team of SME Chamber for taking it up so soon. I think last week is when I spoke to Mahesh, and Mahesh said, yes, we're working on it and we'll be shortly putting up a program. So I must applaud for putting it up so soon there. I think it is undoubted that the biggest challenge that most SMEs would face post the lockdown would be how do they manage their financial crisis. Because I think, at the cost of being repetitive, the wages have to be paid, the raw material costs have to be incurred, there has been no revenues, the bottom line is going to be crunched, the top line is going to be in a major problem, there's no generation of revenue. So I think the biggest problem that most of the SMEs would be facing would be the financial crisis. And this is a platform, NSE Emerge is a platform which is there to aid small and medium enterprises to tap the financial gap that they have between their financial needs. So most of the entrepreneurs are not aware of, or they are not thinking very deeply into this alternate funding mechanism that is available. Since 2012, Government of India has put up a platform saying that not only the large corporates should be allowed to raise funds in the public markets, but also the small and medium enterprises should be allowed to raise funds through the capital markets. And in 2012 itself, our first company got listed, and we have today 209 companies which have got listed on this platform, and more than 3,000 crores of funds have been raised. Believe me, my friends and entrepreneurs, it is not a platform which is a very difficult platform, because I think coming into a regulatory ambit is something which most entrepreneurs would have to be skeptical about, apprehensive about. But this platform, the requirement has been specified very simple. A lot of leeways have been given to disclosures. The entry point has been lowered for the entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of hand-holding and facilitation that is provided by NSE for entrepreneurs to get on board. So the major advantage that I would say is that, not all your fund requirements could be met through banks. Because there is a limitation of a collateral that you could always have, which you can go to the bank and approach the bank to give you a loan based on collateral. So when the collateral is not available anymore and the banking channels are utilized to their fullest capacity, what is the mode that the entrepreneurs can tap? The next mode is the fundraising through the Emerge platform. The requirements here have been very simple. It is stated that you can have just 3 years of track record, operational track record, and 2 years of profitability. If you meet this, then you are eligible to list yourself onto the stock exchange. And post listing also, the compliances have been reduced to 6 monthly disseminations. Some compliances have been reduced to not forming all the corporate governance requirements and everything. So I think it's been a very fairly simple framework that has been put in place. And from the experience of my promoters which have got listed on this platform, we have seen that most of the promoters have enjoyed a better negotiation terms with the banks post the listing on the stock exchange. So that's another advantage that we see most of these promoters getting onto this platform. In this time where, many people have told me that, meeting the working capital is going to be the biggest challenge, and raising funds through the public markets is a far-edged, goalpost that they're looking at. But yes, I thought I must take this opportunity to tell you that yes, you should prepare yourself towards taking a leap of faith in this matter as well, when the time is right for you to actually dilute your equity and raise funds through this public markets. Meanwhile, NSE has also, in collaboration with SIDBI, set up a platform which is called as the RXIL platform, which is a TREADS platform. So this platform is actually to facilitate the entrepreneurs to discount their bills, to factor their bills and tide over their working capital requirement. So, it is very known fact that most of the SME companies will face crunch, liquidity crunch, when it comes to getting their bills paid on time, or getting their bills paid on time, or there would be delayed payments happening to them. So this platform facilitates the seller to discount his bill at the earliest, and it's a transparent platform. It's a regulated platform, so where the seller approves the bill and there are financiers who will give you the best rate available, and you will be able to fund your bills to it. Both the PPTs for NSE Emerge as well as TREADS, I will be mailing it across for you, all my entrepreneurs to look at it and see which fits them the most at this point of time. It's also very important to note that, the listed entities which are already on the SME platform, they can also avail the follow-on public offer route, or the, since listing provides you to access efficient raising of capital, you can also think of a preferential allotment route of raising funds, or that can be a follow-on public offer, wherein you can actually tap the public markets once again to tide over your financial crisis. So listing provides you not only as an initial public offer route to raise funds, but for the listed entities, it's also a great way to effectively utilize your equity by further diluting and raising funds through the public markets. I think, over a period of time that we've been understanding this is that companies would want to be less leveraged going forward. It's very important that the companies do not have a huge debt onto them, because most of their earnings otherwise would be going in the interest payments, which would be obviously affecting directly on the bottom lines. So it's very important for promoters to see the right mix of their financials so that, you know, they have a proper balance between the debt and the equity. And this platform is going to give an edge to all the promoters out there who balance themselves according to this. So they are not overtly leveraged, which creates an impact on the bottom line, and they also have a healthy reserves and inflow of the capital from the public markets. This challenge of COVID-19 has put a lot of companies under pressure, pressure for production, pressure for workers, and pressure for payments, defaults, unemployment opportunities have been created. But I'm sure that every challenge will provide an equal opportunity for the SME companies to grow. It is how we want to look at it and how we are able to survive about this challenge. The opportunities are going to be in abundance, and I think Mr. MISHRA also highlighted that, you know, various ways that we should look at this as a moment where we could, you know, encash this opportunity and take a leap forward and see how we can reorganize our business, how we can restructure our capital requirements to see what is the best way of going forward. Mr. SALUNKHE also stated that, you know, though SME is the largest employment provider in the country, and we also have huge export percentages in the country, and huge industrial output production of the country is contributed by the SMEs. Undoubtedly, this is going to continue. SMEs will remain to be the highest employment provider. In fact, the exports, as rightly put, is going to increase higher because of various opportunities that these companies will have to the other countries, and provide India as a leader in exports as well. So I would urge everybody to not only just review their business models to restructure the product mix, but also restructure the capital according to what the need would be, and take this platform as an important platform which is going to carve out a path for every company to raise funds and propel their growth in this challenging time, and use this as an opportunity to actually grow themselves to higher businesses. If anybody has any questions about this platform, because I've just kept it in a nutshell so that, you know, we're running out of time already. I was given a slot till 4:45. So in case there are any questions that anybody has on this platform, kindly write to us, and we will be there all the time to help you out on this. Thank you so much. Manmeet, can you take it forward?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, we have certain questions which people are posting, and
Right.
The biggest question which is coming is that, you know, how we can talk about the way you spoke about working capital. In terms of working capital, when it comes to MSMEs, what are the two major important things which they need to keep in mind right now to avoid any kind of liquidity crunch?
I think first they should put up a plan very effectively in place. They should have a plan for a short-term basis, which is like, you know, what we can do to sustain our bottom lines. What is that we need to actually do to ensure that, you know, our revenue is, if not you know, grown at a significant pace, at least maintained at the same levels, or, you know, they don't have a significant bottom line crunch. So I think it's very important to put a plan, a short-term plan about what the sustainability of the business would be in the next 3 months. How do they plan to do it? Which products will contribute significantly to their bottom line? And what is the mix that they should see that they are able to sustain this period? And I think they should also have a long-term plan in mind, which will help them to review their business model and actually see how they have to overall, you know, this is a great opportunity for them to take a stock of the whole business business model that they have in place and see how they can review the whole thing to come out as a better business model, because costs are going to be under pressure, payments are going to be under pressure. So it's very important that you prioritize what is most important for you to maintain your bottom lines in the near future. And I said,
so I'm assuming. Yes, ma'am, please carry on.
No, sorry. Yeah, carry on.
No, so, yeah, definitely, because for SMEs, I'm assuming how liquidity is a major important factor before taking any business decision. So when it comes to from NEC Emerge, what are the major issues which right now even you are facing for putting SMEs into the listing?
Yeah, I think they have enough hire an intermediary where you need to get your records in place. So this is something that takes a little time for people to organize themselves and to get into a listing mode. And second thing is, I think this is not a prime time where people would want to come into financial markets raising funds through the IPO mechanism, because their valuations, first they have to get their books right, which will determine their future valuation. So I think this is very important that immediately what they should do is about how to manage the sustainability of the business, and meanwhile, while they're reviewing the business, also keep in mind as to how they have to plan for this phase in the near future.
Okay, ma'am, this is probably something very different, or probably a question which is about tools. So are there any tools which the SMEs can use in terms of when it comes to financial planning or anything of those sorts?
Tools, sorry, maybe I have not understood, but tools for NEC Emerge is something that, people would determine a valuation based on what the past earnings of the promoter has been. This is not a platform, wherein, the projections or the cash projections will help a company to be able to value themselves. This is based on the performances, on the profits of the company. That valuation would take place about what is the business model, in which industry they are. So I think this is very important for promoters to keep in mind, is about which industry they belong to, which sector they belong to, how has their growth in the last few years has been, what is the sales growth, what has been the profitability growth, what is the leverage that they have exposed themselves. I think these are the important factors that would be throwing light on what their future costs should be towards this platform.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll probably be having more questions, which probably will mail to you later on, and we can address all of those. Thank you so much for your time. And right now we'll have Mr. NIHAR, who will take forward on the discussion.
Thank you so much.
Mr. NIHAR, you can take it forward now.
Okay. Can you? Yes. Good evening, everyone. At the outset, let me begin by giving a big thank you to the SME Chamber of India for organizing this webinar. I believe it's very important for us to stay connected in these difficult times. My name is NIHAR THACKERAY, and I'm a partner at a law firm called Legis Law Practice. And today I shall be discussing a few important aspects and some legal aspects which are relevant for SMEs to understand and keep in mind given the current situation. Also, we shall be discussing the impact the COVID-19 has had on the SME sector of India, looking at this current lockdown. So there are three important aspects which I shall be discussing today in brief. The first one is the relief for the SME sector under force majeure or act of God. The second would be the insolvency landscape of corporate India in view of the recent increase in the threshold of default by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, which was the threshold was increased by directly 100-fold. And third would be the employment related concerns in light of the COVID-19. Now, to begin with, relief for SME under force majeure or act of God. Now, to begin with, the literal meaning of force majeure is a superior force, a natural superior force. Now, what it means is that whenever such an event occurs, which makes the performance of the contract impossible or impracticable between the parties, either of the parties or the affected party can invoke force majeure clause, which is contained in their agreements, to either suspend the performance of their contract until such further time, or altogether set it aside as per the prevalent conditions. Now, examples of force majeure events. Some examples of force majeure events would be act of God or natural calamities like earthquakes, floods, epidemics, pandemics like the global pandemic, which is COVID-19. Events like wars or strikes by unions could also be considered as force majeure events. And of course, government actions like quarantine or the current lockdown that the country is facing could be considered as a force majeure event. Now, what one must look for in the contract, in their commercial respective contracts. The first crucial point is whether there is a force majeure clause. Now, it is very important to have a force majeure clause in the contract to begin with, because in such scenarios, only this clause can protect you all and give you all some relief. Second is whether the definition of force majeure is inclusive and covers events like epidemic and government actions. So while framing a contract, it is very important to get proper legal guidance and to have a legal advisor on board, because not every force majeure contract would cover such events that we are facing, the economic events. The third important aspect is whether the current force majeure event makes it impossible for the party to perform its obligations under the contract, even after genuine attempts to perform the contract. So what happens is you have to make sure the event that we are facing, the shutdown, the lockdown, is making your obligations impossible to perform. And you have to also show that you have taken every possible step to mitigate the losses to the other side or to perform your obligations as agreed. Now, if the above criteria are satisfied, you can invoke force majeure clause to either suspend your obligations until such further time, if it is agreed to do so, or altogether set your performance of the contract aside by terminating the agreement, depending on the situation at hand. Now, one more important point to note in this scenario is that only commercial hardship or financial inconvenience on its own cannot be a good ground to invoke force majeure, which means the act which you have to perform, your obligation, it has to be impossible to perform and not just financially inconvenient. Like, I'll give you an example. Say two parties have entered into a contract to purchase and sell essential commodities like vegetables or so on. And given the current situation of the lockdown, when many businesses are not functioning, the government has permitted essential commodities to be sold. So in such a scenario, these parties cannot invoke force majeure citing only financial inconvenience, because they can't perform the agreement. Moving on to the next point, that is what is to be seen about the definition of force majeure. Now, before you invoke force majeure, it is very important to understand these aspects. The first aspect is whether the definition is wide and or inclusive, which means how is the definition framed in your contract, whether it is wide enough to have in its ambit or within its ambit the current situation of the lockdown or the quarantine, or whether the definition is exhaustive, which means the parties have agreed that only certain aspects would fall under the definition of force majeure. And if quarantine or epidemic or lockdown is not a part of this, then you will not be able to invoke force majeure and you will have to perform your obligations. Let's look at an illustration. This is one of the clauses that we have as a standard contracts. Force majeure means any event, including act of God or such other events beyond the reasonable control of and not attributable to the affected party. Now, this particular clause is quite wide in its application, and the parties could reasonably infer that such incidences like lockdown or quarantine or epidemics can be included in the force majeure clause. And accordingly, if someone is facing difficulty today, they can invoke the force majeure and seek relief. Now, the next important point is how to invoke force majeure clause. There are certain aspects which are very crucial before you invoke force majeure clause. The first one is be specific at the time of incorporation as well as invocation. What this means is, while you're drafting your commercial contract, it is very important to seek proper legal advice so that the force majeure clause is properly drafted and properly incorporated, which will cover a lot of aspects, which a lot of problems which the parties can face later on. And at the time of invocation of the force majeure clause, when you send the invocation notice, it is also very important that it is properly done by taking legal advice. Follow the terms strictly. Now what happens is a lot of force majeure clauses have certain criteria and provisions which have to be followed before it can be invoked, or after invocation what has to be done. For example, some clauses may say immediate notice has to be given, or notice of X number of days has to be given to the other side. Make sure you do that. Some clauses may say before termination you have to suspend for say a month or for a period of 2 months, whatever the parties have agreed upon. Make sure you follow the provisions, you suspend the agreement first and not directly terminate it. Third, do not delay in invoking force majeure clause. Now, whenever there is a delay from any party, it is looked upon in bad light and it raises certain doubts in the mind of the other party. So whenever such an event has occurred, make sure the invocation is done within time and the other party has been properly informed. The next point is ensure the notice is received. And this is also very important. Normally, all the commercial contracts would have a clause for communication, which means whenever communication has to be sent to the other party, there is a mode which has been agreed upon, or there is a registered address of each party. So stick to that particular mode. If it's email to the official email ID, stick to that. If it's RPID to the registered office, maybe if RPID cannot happen, the email is always important to have an email mode in the agreement. Stick to the necessary modes and make sure the other side has received your invocation notice. Then notice and correspondence are crucial. So whenever you have to send out a notice or any correspondence invoking force majeure, it is very important that you cover all the legal aspects and it is properly drafted so that there is no loophole to the other side to take advantage of. Hence, at this stage, it is very important to seek proper legal advice. And finally, what if the other party to the contract disputes? Now, there is a possibility that you may invoke force majeure in all goodwill, but the other party may dispute it, saying that the performance is still possible. In such a scenario, the best thing to do is to correspond with him and politely reach at a settlement. But if that is not happening, it is very important that at the stage of this, engage a lawyer and take proper legal advice. Then we move on to what if the contract does not contain a force majeure clause. Now, even though it is very important for parties to understand that force majeure clause has to be included in a contract, we've seen this many times that a lot of clients who come to us, they don't have this clause at all. So not to worry, in such a scenario, you have a relief under the Indian Contract Act. That is, relief is provided under Section 56 of the Indian Contract Act, which also is known as doctrine of frustration of a contract. Now, under 56, and I read, a contract to do an act which later becomes impossible due to an event which the parties could not prevent becomes void when the performance becomes impossible. So this is the doctrine of frustration of contract which is there in the Indian Contract Act. Now, the Supreme Court has passed a landmark judgment in case of Section 56, which is the case of Satyabrata Ghosh versus Mugniram Bangur and Co. Now, this was passed way back in 1954 and is a landmark when it comes to doctrine of frustration of contract. The Supreme Court has laid down that if the performance has become impracticable and useless from the point of view of the object and purpose which the parties had in view at the time of entering the contract, only then can the parties invoke this doctrine of frustration of contract. So it's very important at this that the parties bear this in mind and have a force majeure clause drafted in their contract so that they don't have to then refer to the doctrine of frustration of contract. Now, force majeure clause is again important for your rental obligations, especially in cities like Mumbai, where the rental charges are extremely high. So a lot of times clients come to us for their rental agreements and we make sure that proper force majeure clauses are incorporated, that when a time like this comes wherein there is a lockdown, parties cannot access their office and already there is a financial stress, So paying your rentals, your high rentals become like it's cumbersome, and it's again adding to your financial stress. So it's very important to have force majeure clauses and rental or leave and license agreements for your properties. Now, those were some important aspects regarding force majeure, and if there are any questions, you're free to connect with us, and we'll help you with the same. Now, coming to the second aspect, which is the insolvency aspect. Now, as you know, on 24th March, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs of the Government of India increased the threshold of the default under IBC by 100-fold. So, which means from the previous threshold of just rupees 1 lakh, now the threshold has been increased to 1 crore. So obviously this has brought a lot of SMEs and MSMEs under worry, because they were contemplating on invoking insolvency proceedings to take their corporate defaulters to the NCLT. Now they cannot do it unless the receivable amount or the outstanding payment is at least rupees 1 crore. So what we have to see now is whether this is productive or counterproductive. This measure, what has to be remembered is that this measure was brought in by the government because of the lockdown and the COVID-19 situation. This was done to protect the SMEs, because looking at the current situation of the economy, it was considered that a lot of SMEs would default on their obligations, and eventually they would be dragged to the NCLT. So to avoid that scenario, the amount has been increased straight away to 1 crore. However, if this is a temporary measure, then yes, it is productive. But if this is made permanent, then we'll have to see whether this in the long time is a productive measure or not, because it would defeat the purpose of IBC. Now, IBC, as we know, it is not meant to be a recovery tool. It has a different application, but a lot of small businesses were using IBC with the sole intention of reaching a settlement or recovering their money. Now, they cannot do it unless their receivables are at least rupees 1 crore and above. So what needs to be done in such a scenario? Also, the government is contemplating on suspending the insolvency proceedings altogether for a period of 6 months is the news. So it is under consideration. It has not been done yet, but the government may come up with another notification wherein they may suspend these proceedings. Now, whether this will be productive or not productive, again, it has to be seen once the same is enforced. So in this case, what can be the option for MSMEs to recover their monies or outstanding payments? There are two alternatives which are effective and which are quick when it comes to timelines as well. The first alternative would be the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, the MSME Act, and the provisions laid down thereunder. There are some provisions which are provided in the Act for the benefits of micro and small enterprises. Now, this Act, even though it's called MSME Act, not all provisions are applicable to medium enterprises. But there are some, like say for example, Section 15, which deals with delayed payments. Now, as per Section 15, whenever services are purchased or products are purchased from micro and small enterprises, the purchaser has to make payment within an overall period of 45 days. Parties can agree to a shorter period, but it cannot be more than 45 days. Now there could be a scenario where no timeline has been agreed. In that scenario, the Act provides that the payment has to be made to the MSME within 15 days. If there is a breach and the MSME has not been paid, then the Act provides for a compound interest, which could be 3 times the rate of the bank as provided by the RBI. Also, the micro and small enterprises could approach the Facilitation Council, which is enacted and which is made under the Act, incorporated under the Act. Now, this is the council which helps micro and small enterprises to redress their claims and helps them in recoveries. So whenever the SME approaches this council, they would first see if a settlement is possible between the defaulter and the micro and small enterprises who has approached it for redressal of their complaints. If a settlement is not possible through conciliation, then the dispute is referred to arbitration. Now, again, there is another important clause which says, upon receiving the reference of arbitration, the award has to be passed by the arbitrator within just 90 days. So again, this is a quick relief compared to long-drawn proceedings which parties face at times through legal suits. The second alternative is summary suits. This again, before I come to summary suits, there is also an online portal which the MSME Act provides, which is the Samadhan portal. And micro and small enterprises could lodge their complaints on this portal whenever there is a dispute for payment. And the portal will transfer it to the Facilitation Council, which will take it up from there for redressal. The second option which the micro and small enterprises has is, or any other corporate for that matter, for fact, is summary suit, which is based on liquidated sums and damages. Now, unlike the regular suit, the defaulter or the defendant in this case does not have a right to defend himself, which means he has to approach the court and seek permission to defend himself. And if he is not able to convince the court that he has a good ground of defense, then the judgment is straight away passed in favor of the creditor or the plaintiff. Again, various aspects are time bound. The defendant has to comply with those timelines. So this is again a quick and an effective remedy which the SME sector can look at. And finally, we come to the employment-related concerns in light of COVID-19. Now, as we know, because of the lockdown, the economy has come to a near standstill, and a lot of SMEs, MSMEs are facing financial stress. Obviously, the first thing, or in due course, they are thinking of taking the various steps to cover their finances or reduce their finances, which includes salary deductions, layoff of employees, or even termination of employees. Now, what the SME sector has to remember is that such things are governed by various employment laws, as well as there are certain orders which the governments have passed, may it be the central government, may it be the respective state governments. Let's deal with two of such orders. Now, on 29th March 2020, the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, passed an order under the Disaster Management Act 2005, looking at the current coronavirus situation. Now, that order says that employers cannot deduct wages of their workers, and they have to pay them on time as per the due dates till the time the lockdown is in force. There is another resolution dated 31st March 2020 of the government of Maharashtra, which is made applicable to public as well as private employers, which again says till the time the lockdown is in force, wages to workers cannot be reduced. Now, it is to be understood that this particular order, all these orders are not applicable to each and every employee. There are certain employees which are exempted, employees like your administration staff, your managerial level staff and above. So to understand if someone is looking at these avenues, they can definitely connect us and we can advise them on the way forward. Now, what is important to understand is that these are orders and not mere advisories, which means if there is a violation of these orders, there is a penal provision, there is a punishment which will be enforced as per the Disaster Management Act. And I'm quoting, under the Act, whoever refuses to comply with any direction given by or on behalf of the central government or the state government or the National Executive Committee or the State Executive Committee or the district authority under this Act shall, upon conviction, be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 year or with fine or with both. Hence, it is very important that before any such steps are taken, proper legal advice is sought. And also finally, what is to be noted is that these provisions, these orders are made applicable only till the time the lockdown is in force, which means once the lockdown is called back and normal office functioning is resumed, employees can reduce salaries even of the employees covered by these orders. But at the same time, they have to make sure that they are compliant with the provisions of various employment acts. For example, the Industrial Dispute Act, there are certain criteria, certain notices which have to be given in advance. There is a Minimum Wages Act, so there's a minimum criteria beyond which the salary payments, wages cannot be reduced. So all these acts have to be considered, for which again proper legal advice could be sought. So these were some of the important aspects which I thought I should be sharing with you all, looking at the current situation. And whoever is looking for any sort of advice regarding these aspects is free to contact us, and we are more than happy to advise them. So again, thank you so much everyone for the time, and I thank the SME Chamber of India, Chandrakant ji, everyone for organizing this webinar. Thank you so much.